The mirror that blinks back. Started as a dare. Stupid one. Mia was dared to spend one night inside the abandoned Glasswell Manor, a decaying house once owned by a mirror craftsman who vanished after his wife's mysterious death. The villagers whispered that his mirrors were cursed, that they watched you back. The house stood at the edge of the forest, its windows dark, its doors swollen shut by years of damp and rot. When Mia entered, her flashlight caught dust like glittering ghosts in the air. Every room had mirrors, dozens of them, cracked, flecked with mold, but still reflecting faint light, and her. Only her reflection seemed off. When she moved her hand, it lagged by half a second. When she turned her head, her reflection's eyes seemed to stare longer. At midnight, she reached the master bedroom, where the biggest mirror stood, 7 feet tall, carved with roses and Latin words at the frame's edge. Speculum speculatorum occidit. She didn't know Latin, but something about it made her uneasy. Mia laughed nervously and said aloud, "Okay. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I'm not scared at all." Her reflection didn't move, just smiled. She froze. Her lips hadn't curved, but the reflection's had. It smiled wider, showing too many teeth like skin splitting. The flashlight flickered and went out. Darkness. Only the faint outline of her reflection, still smiling, remained visible in the glass, faintly illuminated by moonlight leaking through the curtains. She backed away slowly, her breath trembling, eyes locked on the mirror. But when she reached for the door, she felt something cold wrap around her wrist. She screamed and looked down. Nothing was there. But in the reflection, the other Mia was holding her arm tightly. The reflection leaned forward, whispering something she couldn't hear. Her ears filled with a low humming like bees behind her skull. She felt her heartbeat sync with it. Suddenly, the reflection slammed its hand against the inside of the mirror. A spiderweb crack ran across the glass. Mia stumbled back, tripping, falling. When she looked up, her reflection was gone. The mirror was empty, just darkness, and a whisper came from behind her. "You look better from this side." Her flashlight flickered back on. The mirror was no longer cracked. Inside it stood another Mia, holding the flashlight. Outside it, the real Mia raised her hand and screamed. No sound came out. The villagers later found the house quiet again. Everything as it was. Except one mirror had been cleaned, spotless. And if you look closely under the glass, you can see a hand pressed from the inside, still trying to get out. Skull Story 2. The Man Who Knocked Twice. Rain hammered the tin roof that night when Daniel first heard it. 2 knocks on his front door. Not 1. Not 3. Always 2. He looked through the peephole, nobody there. Just darkness. Just rain. It happened again the next night. 2 knocks, then silence. He started to think it was kids playing around, until he noticed the pattern. The knocks came at exactly 2:13 a.m. every night. On the 4th night, he set up a camera facing the door. He stayed awake until the familiar time approached. 2:12. 2:13. He jumped, checked the camera feed. The door was visible, but on the footage, there was no one, no shadow, no movement, just 2 faint indentations on the wooden door, as if invisible knuckles had struck it. He called the police. They found nothing. No footprints, no fingerprints. But one officer frowned and said quietly, "You're not the first house on this street. The previous owner went missing after the knocking started." Daniel tried everything. Music, prayer, even moving his bed to another room. Didn't matter. Every night. Until one night it changed. Instead of 2 knocks he heard a third one. Hesitant. Followed by a whisper. "It's cold out here." Daniel froze. The voice was trembling, like a woman's. He felt pity overcome fear and opened the door slightly. No one. But there was wet footprint on the floor. Leading toward his bedroom. Daniel's heart pounded as he followed them. Each step creaked like bones. The footprints led straight to his closet. He grabbed a knife, threw open the door. Me. Just hanging coats. And a smell. Sweet rotting smell. Then from behind him, a voice said softly, "You shouldn't have opened the door." He spun around, nothing. The next morning, the mailman saw Daniel's door wide open. Inside, his house was empty. Only the camera remained. The last footage showed Daniel sleeping in his bed. At 2:13 a.m. He didn't wake up. The door opened slowly by itself. A pale woman in a soaked white dress walked in. She smiled at the camera. Then the screen went black. They buried an empty coffin that week. But at Daniel's grave late at night, caretakers still report hearing it. From inside the coffin. Candle Story 3. Voices from the baby monitor. Claire and Ethan had just brought their newborn home. Everything felt perfect, until the second night. The baby monitor crackled to life around midnight. Not crying. Not static. Voice. "Shoo, it's okay, baby. Mommy's here." Claire froze. She was in the kitchen. Ethan was asleep. And she hadn't spoken those words. She rushed to the baby's room. The crib was empty. She screamed. Then realized the baby was in Ethan's arms. He had picked her up because she was crying. The monitor still whispered, "Mommy's here." But both of them were right there. They changed frequencies. Bought a new monitor. Still the same voice. Sometimes it laughed. Sometimes it sang lullabies. Old ones. Ones Claire's grandmother used to hum before she died. A week later things got worse. The voice began calling her by name. "Claire, come see her, she's beautiful tonight." The baby would cry every time that voice came. The lights would flicker. And every morning the baby's crib would be moved. Just a few inches. Like someone had nudged it. Ethan finally set up a night camera in the nursery. At 3:09 a.m., the voice returned. Whispering. Coaxing. The baby monitor crackled and showed a faint figure. A woman, sitting beside the crib, stroking the baby's head. Long gray hair. A soft lullaby humming. Then the woman looked straight at the camera. And smiled. Claire gasped when she saw the footage. It was her grandmother. Dead for 12 years. That night, they unplugged the monitor and threw it away. But around 3 a.m. they still heard the lullaby. Not from the nursery, but from inside their own room. Ethan turned on the light. The baby was gone. The monitor, the one they had thrown away, sat on the dresser. Light glowing. Through it, a voice whispered, "She's safe with me now." The next morning, police found the crib empty. The window open. And 2 sets of tiny footprints in the snow. One baby's, one woman's. Both vanished into the forest behind the house. No one ever found them. But every new tenant who lives there reports the same thing. A soft lullaby over the baby monitor. And a whisper, "Mommy's here."